For me, for 2025 for TA, I think it falls into four camps. The first one is going to be AI. Everybody is going to be talking about that.
We don't know everything we need to know about it, and it's also changing constantly. So that's something that we'll be grappling with well into 2025 and probably 2026.
To me, in 2025, the biggest trend will be really opening up our eyes to diversity beyond gender.
The theme or the trend that will probably continue to shape our industry next year is making the most of our limited resources. How do we do more with less?
Basically, the do more with less mantra is really a permanent setting for us.
Diversity, equity, inclusion, of course, will stay on the radar. It's not going away. I think, diverse teams, diversity of thought, diversity of culture, these are still, the ultimate wins all round.
If we focus on just one aspect of diversity and inclusion that I really think will be a point of discussion over the next 12 to 18 months is around return to office versus working from home. And I think the impact that this can have and that company mandates will have on the ability to attract and retain diverse talent is going to be one of the key points of discussion over the next year or so.
I think artificial intelligence is going to allow us to expand our talent pool by looking at different people from different industries, but have the skills that you need that could be transferable for the roles that you're recruiting.
We're going to have to put in a lot of automation and AI to deal with that overwhelming ad response we're getting. For the candidates we're reaching out to, I think we go with a human-heavy, AI-light approach. So we'll have a very clear bifurcation in terms of how we deal with candidates based on who sort of encounters who first.
Obviously, that could be really positive. It can also be really challenging as well as a recruiter to understand how AI might have been used in an application process, how we can fairly assess candidates, and just really make sure that we're making the best of the efficiencies that AI brings us, but also really understanding how we can make sure that we're still running a fair and equitable process.
I think initially you're going to be dealing with everyone going, AI, we won't need as many people in TA, and that's scary. But that's not actually the case. And it won't come to fruition either. This is evolution. This isn't revolution.
It's not always the case that more human is better when it comes to recruiting, but there are moments when humans are essential. So I think we're going to start asking those questions and probably discovering some answers to them in 2025.
Really being autonomous and self-driven in your learning and development when it comes to technology is the biggest takeaway here. Not relying on your team leader, not relying on your manager, not relying on the organization to kind of feed you the information that you need to know. Actually going out there and doing some research yourself and potentially even bringing back some really key insights that you've learned back to the organization.
In terms of preparing, what I would say is take a really good, honest look in your ATS. This is not a finger-pointing exercise. This is something you and the entire team need to be involved with, whether that's 2 of you or 50 of you. But you've got to know where you're starting from.
What role will technology play in shaping this trend? The reality is it's entirely driving this trend. Technology is really tools change behavior, and we're at that point now where AI-powered technology that we're all encountering is changing the way in which we operate.
AI is really leveraging those existing things, such as Boolean searching, for example, to be able to provide you the right type of people that you're looking for in the market.
Unlocking that data, unlocking that ability to really get that full metrics, that full picture of who's in our pipeline, how they're performing, how do they identify, and what happens to them after hire. I think that's really going to be a key.
We all need to become AI enabled. We need to increase our literacy with regards to technology. We need to sort of increase our fluency. That means daily active use. That means embedding it in our day-to-day work. We can't be reading a blog post and assuming we know what that means. We have to use and practice these tools.
If you're looking to develop your employer value proposition, it's about how you treat people that you don't have a need for right now. How do you stay engaged with them? How can you use AI to actually keep that connection with people you've said no to, but you might want to revisit later, or actually not right for this role, but they might be right for another role?
Get comfortable being uncomfortable and get curious, and also be real. I mean, diverse talent will find out on day one whether the promises you've made and whether the shiny pictures and all the roses and things like that you've promised, whether they're real or whether they're all kind of made up just to attract talent.
Choose a couple of things to focus on. Don't get overwhelmed. Get the most out of the tech stack you have. Most people don't use the tech stack they have to the best of its abilities, so it gets all messy and then it becomes easier to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You're paying for it. Have a look at it. How can you use this most effectively before you make a decision if you're going to change or add to it?
We need to be thinking about how do we measure the sort of work that AI is, that is insulated from AI, and can we put a metric against that? So I think organizations that are able to think along those lines and start building towards the sort of work that humans can do and measuring that, they're the ones that are going to stay ahead of the game.
A lot of discussions around people are quite subjective, but when you're looking at a needs of an organization point of view, a lot of that can actually be viewed in a data-centric point of view as well.
I think looking into the future, organizations need to think carefully about how to balance it all, how to use and then how to adopt that technology and AI potentially to enhance the recruitment process. And again, as always, not losing sight of the personal human touch.
My kind of view of it is that it is less about a past trend, and this is less a kind of a natural genealogy from what went before, and really more of a hard break. So I think that the timeline sort of split, certainly in 2021. The world was going one direction, it's gone in another. And I think what we could learn best from the past is to understand when these breaks happen. We typically underestimate the degree of how fast and how significant those changes are going to be. So I don't see this so much as a continuation, as a true break. And I think we're going to head towards a very different future, one with a lot of risk, but I think one with a lot of opportunity as well.
I think in some respects, the drive of the industry is always looking for, like, how do we do this better? How do we do this in another way? So I think there is always innately a want to try new things. There can be sometimes a temptation to get distracted by the shiny and new things. Not looking at you, candidate experience, because we've still not fixed that one. But at least we still try. So I still think these things are all going to be happening at once for an extended period of time. I think it's also about managing that one effectively into the future and going, these ones could be a real step change for us, but actually in a really good way. So it'll be an exciting future.